you know, back in 2016, I didn't know nothing about Bernie Sanders, and senator of Vermont since 2007. A gentleman who really made a name for himself, man, in his late 70s, he's 77 years of age. And I stated in my previous videos when he had a great interview, very professional interview with Killer Mike, man, discussing political views, his agenda of having a universal health care, implementing things that was going on in Canada to here in the United States of America. So, I mean, free education. And they went to really pretty much in depth about that. If people have a free education, for the most part, it will kind of eliminate the student loan debts. People have the right to have a free education, has the ability to continuously perfect their talents and crafts and actually be competitive in the job market. And he said everyone's entitled to that, man, who wants to be successful, because you got many people, he said, who goes into Germany or goes to these other foreign countries and Cuba, to actually pay your medical school for free, man, because of the opportunities, man. You got people who feel kind of left out and no type of option in order to fulfill their dreams because of the cost of tuition. And he stated these really previous great things, man. And I was following him. Killer Mike had his own different, views, and talked about capitalism. And capitalism, I believe, is extremely vital, man, especially in the black community, because that's the currency of the dollar, man. Because at the end of the day, you start a business, you employ people. Say you have a factory over 500 people, and you want it to do well. You're gonna have ones, you're gonna pretty much, of course, make sure they get paid on a fairly wage, but at the same time, you want to continuously to make more money so you can have more companies, and you can continuously to have that generational wealth. And some people kind of shy away from capitalism. They believe that all rich people or wealthy people are selfish individuals, but over and all, most of them are not. I mean, you got some people that are, but for the most part, they want to spread their wealth, and they have the glue and the opportunity to give jobs to people that's in need. And all these things I was thinking about what Bernie Sanders wanted to do is very actively involved. I mean, even though he lost the primary, Democratic primary against Hillary Clinton, is that how is his policies is going to be in effect. And it's due to taxation of the rich, people who makes at least over $250,000 or more. And I'm thinking that you're going to raise the taxes on the rich in order to fulfill your plans, but at the same time, though, those really is going to encourage those big factories and those people who own those multi-million-dollar companies to move their businesses elsewhere, somewhere into like factories in Canada, somewhere in Mexico. And it's going to leave the economy out of whack balance. And I believe the stock market is going to really go down, because I mean, people don't want to continue to pay taxes, something that they own and worked hard for and built for. And don't get me wrong, I do believe it's the working class, the people that's in the middle, they shouldn't be suffering for just paying a whole bunch of taxes. Like people who barely makes enough money, man, to take care of themselves, they got to pay all this money in taxes. And then you got rich people, they can really do a tax write-offs through cars, leases, they can do it through their business. And people had the concept thinking the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer. And as he has this socialist type of mind state, I was kind of shying away from Bernie Sanders a little bit. But then again, too, I will say is Bernie Sanders, ever since he lost, though, he has been very actively involved in the Middle East policies, man. So for instance, with the BDS Act, that stands for the Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions, man, that's going on in Israel. And so he noticed that it was a huge turmoil between the Israelites and the Gaza. And the Gaza Strip, so they was killing them and sniping them, man. And the guys were saying, "This is our land, this is our promised land," all this stuff. The military campaign since the 6 Day War, they was taking over since 1967. He on insisting to the Jerusalem, Israeli government to have a two-party state, and according with the United Nations. And now he was improving. He didn't want the Senate. He wrote a letter. He didn't want the Senate to pass the BDS Act, because at the same time, man, that's going to really punish the ability and the civil liberties of American citizens, man. They're violating their freedom of speech and their First Amendment. Now, I will say that him having the knowledge of the First Amendment and all the amendments and 27 amendments in the United States, and he wants the Americans to really, you want that to work out in his favor for all Americans, man. And I want to say that that's just in his heart, and that's something that we probably need in the 2020 election. And even though he's 17 years old, man, he still got a chance, man. I don't believe in this old age excuse that because you're at a certain age, you shouldn't be running, man. Listen, you have a dream, you have a goal, you should go in here and pursue it. And I would say I would give Bernie Sanders another chance though, because I do see him like he posted on Instagram about this young lady that was, was a graduate from graduate school but still in debt because of his pharmaceutical bills, and it's not right. So this is pretty much one of his ads and his avenues to really help with Medicare, free Medicaid. It is kind of crazy that you got to pay, a whole bunch of money in Medicare. You got, people in the Senate and Congress. I know Trump trying to replace it with Trump Care, man. So it's a lot of things that's really going on. And he kind of understands that, the American people is really getting effed over from, from the Goldman Sachs and all these things, this big multi corporations. But I just want to say that, hopefully that he has another incentive, another way to fulfill his plans if he wants to really benefit, the people at all times, just all Americans, man. And I just don't want him just to get into office if he does, and God bless him in the position to be the leader of the free world, to make a mistake, and the economy is just, we going back into the Great Depression, because you got a lot of people who control the wealth, and 97 the 3% who controls the wealth, man, they just go in here and they get discouraged and they go overseas, man, and therefore they can have like good mobility, and they don't have to really pay as many taxes, and then they can pay someone like below minimum wage and get the job done as fast, and reliable workers. So at the same time, I know he was protesting for $15 an hour. I do believe that though, because it shouldn't be in the center that we still making like you get 50-cent raises or quarterly raises, but inflation is continuously increasing. We had $184 trillion in debt in America at this moment right now. And Bernie Sanders is pretty much aware of that. So with all these tactics, man, I think he's pretty much the better candidate for the Democratic Party if he's gonna go in here and re-elect or rerun, for election. And I think this time, he should defeat Hillary Clinton and possibly get in office, man, because Democrats are really gonna take over the House in January. So I mean, all these Mueller accusations and things that Donald Trump is getting himself involved into. So I mean, I don't know if he's going to be reelected, for a second term, but I just think that the answer to this question, that Bernie Sanders should run again, and it may be a good thing. Maybe he should change his approach, man. But he's really sparked that seed and that interest in me to really get involved into politics because of this interview, man. And this is how powerful like entertainers are, man. Like he's kind of cool, man. Just marched for Martin Luther King. I mean, the whole 9 yards, man. He really cared about politics, man. He really cared about people getting involved and really not getting manipulated by this demonic system. And he wants to change it. And I think we have to kind of recognize that as a people, though. But I mean, Bernie Sanders, go ahead and run, man. And you'll probably be really victorious, though. But I just don't think people just say, oh, well, because he's a socialist, I'm just turned off from this, man. I mean, do your little research. Like I say, if you're an individual making $250,000 or more, you may shy away from him, because why should you be punished for making a certain amount of money and something that you build upon yourself? And so the only thing about the Democratic mind state is just thinking that you got to make a certain amount of money to make it, or that you shouldn't be making all this money, or they give you a bad notion that being rich or being wealthy and taking care of your business and understanding the system is a wrong thing. Therefore, like, you got Democrats who's worth millions of dollars. So it's like, do they prey off of the people's ignorance? So it's a catch-22 with this. If you were coming from a Republicans, I consider myself more of a conservative, and so I mean, I'm all about like just building wealth and not having the government involved in it as well. I mean, we kind of lean towards like Republican ideas, and the thing is though too, I have to understand that because of my faith, I don't believe in homosexual marriage and all these things, and so but he believes in that, and sometimes they kind of practice like humanism type of abilities. But in order to benefit all though, but I mean some qualities that I like about the Democrats and some qualities that I don't. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be really interesting, man, who I decide to like vote for, or who I decide to just who I want in office. But I do believe that Bernie Sanders might have a legitimate chance, man. Of course, with the legislations, he's working with Democratic candidate Chris Murphy with this whole BDS type of bill. So I mean, the process of this though, they don't want a government shutdown. So I think this is why one of the reasons why the Senate is probably passing this though. But this will violate the civil liberties and the rights for Americans at this moment if this go ahead and succeed. But despite him being tenacious and everything, Bernie Sanders, you know, you should go ahead and do it, man. And I may vote for him. I might vote for him. I might not too. I see someone else it's a good interest. Maybe, you know, Lamar Alexander, even though he was the former Tennessee governor, he's not gonna run for the 2020 election, and he was the president of the University of Tennessee, as far as the education that's going to be concerned. But you know, I just want to think that you're going to develop the urban communities. But this is why, as Black people, I was talking to one of my subscribers. As Black people, man, you know, we really have to understand. We have to get an agenda. We have to have meetings with these politicians and know what we want for our community, especially as Black men. We got to step up, man. I mean, it's people passing us by. You got the immigrants. You got, I mean, people that's really kicking our butt politically, man. And it's because, you know, lack of knowledge, or that we don't really care, man. We got to put some effort into this and, you know, get involved, man. We got smartphones. Go in here, research, man. You know, put our money together, man. And have some political campaign, man. And, you know, invite these politicians, fund them, and see what we want out of life, man. See what we want to, you know, to change. You know, it can be all kinds of stuff, man. You know, it's things that's going to work in your favor, man. So, well, Bernie Sanders, maybe he's going to be a benefit for all. I don't know if he's really, you know, into like the urban community development, but we'll see. But for me, I'm just thinking about this, like, for the most part, man. Just seeing him all over the news. But he may be do some damage, man, in the house, man. I mean, as far as like a good way, man. So it's gonna be a good run. We'll see. You guys continue to like, comment, subscribe. We can have a discussion here, and but that's what I pretty much thinking, man. But I think this is a good effort for him right now. Just continuously being in Congress and standing up, you know, for the one's rights. And he's been actually a good supporter and voice for the Jewish Parliament, man, and then Jewish in Jerusalem in Congress, man. So he's standing up for the Israeli people in United Nations. So, but and also too, the things that's been going on in Yemen as well too. He's speaking out against that. And, you know, these are things that, you know, we kind of care about, man. And I feel like, you know, CNN is not talking about this, too. You know, you bombing your men in United States of America, man. They finally just released some troops from Syria. So, I mean, he was exposing all these things, man. So, all these actively radiation that's going on, bombing other countries, man, just for their political gain. And I like how he's exposing that. So, this pretty much going to give him an edge. But you guys tell me what you think. I'm going to wrap this video up. I really believe that Bernie Sanders should run again for 2020. What you guys think, man? I just want to hear your thoughts. I'm out. Deuces.